And in this video, I'm gonna break down the ideal team structure if you want to scale to $100,000 per month plus inside of your agency. Look, so many agencies want to scale and grow and build, but what happens is when they start to hit that $20, $30, $40, $50,000 per month mark and have a team, things start to break because fulfillment gets more complicated. You have to flex your leadership skills. You have to manage a team. I want to show you exactly how you can start to reframe your thinking when it comes to building a team around your agency. Let's get into it. The first thing that we really need to understand is what is our offer. The reality of scaling to $100,000 per month, $200,000 per month is going to be foundationally set on having a offer. This allows us to figure out what our anticipated billable hours are per employee. I'm just gonna map out an example offer just so you can see how I'm starting to think about what is the team structure at scale. For example, let's just take, we target, I'm just gonna keep it really broad, local businesses, just so you can really start to see. And then let's just say we help them with leads, content, and social management. This is basically the offer. So now what we want to do is we want to figure out our clients are here, they want to get here, this is what we're promising, and what we just need to do is we need to start to map out what is our offer, how do we get them from where they are to where they want to go. This becomes what we call steps to desired outcome. If you don't have this figured out, we need to make sure our offer is solidified and productized in this manner. Otherwise, things are going to break. I'm just going to give some really broad stuff here. We're gonna do an onboarding call. We're going to do a strategy call. We're going to plan content plus ads. We're gonna write the content for the business. We are going to shoot the content. We are going to edit. We're going to post content plus write captions. We're going to do a weekly analytics, and we're going to launch ads plus monitor ads. And then we're going to do a monthly call plus Slack support, let's call it. So the first thing that we really need to understand and just do inside of our agency is we need to productize our offer. What are these steps in our offer that are going to get our clients from where they are to where they want to go? This is going to allow us to start to see what our capacity is inside of our agency so that we can begin to make informed decisions. So once we have our productized offer, we just need to be really clear on who is doing each section of the offer. So let's just say this is like a VA. Let's just say this aspect of it is going to be like a strategist. Just say this is obviously going to be a videographer. This is going to be editor. This is going to be a social media manager. This is going to be a VA doing the weekly analytics. We can also call this a CSM. And then this is going to be, let's just call in this scenario a strategist. For this case, we're just going to do really basic ads like meta ads, pretty simple funnel that we teach at least inside of Agency U for members. And then monthly call and Slack support, let's just call this the strategist as well. Now what I have here is basically I have our team, but this is just the theory. Can't do this for every single agency, but I want you to take the concepts and the frameworks that I'm using and apply to yours. So what did we come up with here? Our team is going to be a client success. It's going to be a strategist. It's going to be a videographer. We're gonna have an editor, and we're gonna have a social media manager. So this is our team based off of the offer that we just laid out. We need to determine how many billable hours do we think each item is going to take for each aspect. There's going to be a lot of subtasks in each step that you need to account for that eventually you need to productize inside of your business. So if I look at client success, onboarding, probably some sending stuff back and forth to the client, the edits, cool weekly analytics. How long should I expect this to take for a client success manager? Let's just estimate this is going to take 3 hours. From a strategist perspective, if they're going to do the onboarding call, strategy call, planning the content, writing the content, and then also doing support on the call and then launching the ads. Let's just call this 5 hours. Videographer for a shoot, let's just call that 3 hours all in. That also includes uploading the footage. Editor, let's just say we're editing 8 videos. Cool, that's gonna take 5 hours all in. Social media manager, writing captions and posting. Let's just call it 4 hours all in. So now what we're seeing, the billable hours per offer. So this will allow us to, one, determine like what is our cost, because if we multiply the 3 hours by the hourly rate by client success, that's going to give us our cost of goods sold. But this should give you an idea of how much you should be paying each person from like an hourly perspective, as well as your costs based off of that, which allows you to do a multiple. So let's just say client success manager is $20 an hour. So if we did $20 an hour times 3, that's going to be $60 for the offer. Let's just say strategist is going to be $50 an hour. So 50 times 5 is going to be 250. And then let's just say videographer, let's just call it $40 an hour. So 40 times 3, 120. And then an editor, let's just do it $30 an hour. So that would be 150. And then social media manager, that would be $20 an hour as well. Why not? So let's just do $80. So what this gives us is our cost of goods sold. That is a $520 cost of goods sold. So this means that this is how much it costs you to do this specific offer. Again, these numbers are totally just random, so please just take this with a grain of salt. And then let's just say we want to do a multiple of 4 so that we can make a 70% profit margin on that. So if I did 520 times 4, we would want to charge $2,080 retail minimum for this specific offer. So that's that quick explanation. But what's most important is we're looking at the billable hours. So we need to say client success, 3 hours per offer. So what I'm going to begin to look at is what is the capacity for the client success manager. Basically, in a 40-hour work week, if we're a full-time position, there's 160 hours per month available. If there's 160 hours per month, what is a percentage of the billable hours for that specific position? So if I think of client success, let's just call it 80% billable hours available for that role, because there's going to be internal meetings, there's going to be meetings with the manager. So they have 100 and let's just call it 30 hours available per month. Then what I can do is I can scroll back to the position of client success, and I can begin to look at this, and I can say based off of 3 billable hours per client and 130 hours available, so they could handle about 43 clients. That would be the capacity there. So same thing with strategist. So for this case, I would probably put like, I don't know, 70% billable hours maybe. Again, really just depends on the role and the expectations. Let's actually put 65. That's 104 billable hours for the strategist. So if I did 104 divided by 5, that's going to be around 21 clients max. Cool. Videographer, 3 hours max, probably around the 80% billable hours for them is 128. 128 divided by, let's call it 3. So they could do it also around like 42 clients max. Editor would probably be like 85% billable hours. So that's 136. Then we're going to divide this by 5. So they could handle about 27 clients. And then social media manager, again, probably around 90% to be honest. Let's just call it 85%. So 160 times 0.85, 136 divided by 4 equals 34 clients. This tells us what is the capacity of the team at a $2,000 retail cost. What is the revenue? What is our cost? What is our profitability on this type of like org structure? So let's just kind of draw this out. What we would want to do is create almost like a pod, essentially, because what I'm seeing here is basically 2 strategists. I'm seeing 1 videographer, client success manager, 2 editors, and then about 1.5 social media managers, but we can call it just 2. We had pods at our company. We had basically 2 pods that had a specific amount of clients. We can see this is a pod of 21 clients, and this is a pod of 21 clients. What this is telling us is, cool, 21 clients, this is going to be $44,100 in revenue. So this would equal total of $88,100 in revenue. That is the capacity of this specific team. What I can see is if we have 21 clients, which would basically make the videographer capped, it would cap basically 2 editors plus, like we would need probably actually like 3 editors, 2.5 editors. Now I can begin to start to see how many clients can each person manage. So now maybe we say, cool, editor, you're going to do 21 clients max. Client success manager, they can do 43 clients. So they can like fulfill the need of these 2 pods. They can do 42 clients, which is perfect. They can do 21 clients. They can do 21 clients. Social media manager, 34 clients. And then this is going to be the leftover of around 8 clients. So now I can start to see, perfect, this is what the max team looks like at our agency. So then as we begin to scale, so let's just say we wanted to add in another, 10 clients. So let's call it 52 clients total. So if we did 52 clients, the revenue would be, if we're sticking to this offer, 52 times 2,100, that would be $109,000 in revenue. So this is where it can kind of get a little bit tricky, where there's like overlap and maybe this person's feeling a little bit overwhelmed. This is why we need to make sure our pricing is really strong and we're not just getting by, but we're making sure we have plenty of profit to work with. Because this, at this rate, if everybody's a full-time position, so this would be our cost. This would cost us $22,480. So this would give us a margin of $65,620 profit. This is where we begin to add another pod. Basically, the goal here is you should have some client predictability where you can say, I need to start to formulate my new pod. And like maybe you start with contractors for these roles. Maybe you start with part-timers for this role. And that's where you start to formulate the other pod, where you can begin to start to forecast and build into a third pod for this specific session, essentially. So if we know that this is our future offers, basically it's going to cost us around, let's call it 520, 10 clients. So this is where we begin to make the transition to opening up the new pod. So as we build it, we know we need to probably have a part-time videographer, because it's not going to be realistic for us to hire a full-time videographer from the jump because we don't have 42 clients left, but maybe we're going to contract that out. Cool. Client success manager, same thing. Maybe we're going to start with a part-time and build them into full-time, depending on how many more clients that we can begin to get, so that we can make sure that we're filling up this person's capacity. Editor, same thing. Social media manager, same thing. But the beautiful thing is this isn't going to leave you trapped. Like, you're not going to be in a situation where you're like, oh my gosh, I have no money, I can't hire anybody, we're capped, we can't scale, we can't grow. This is going to allow you to ease into it. And assuming like, cool, you're at 52 clients now, your goal as an agency should be like, cool, how do I get to 42 more clients as soon as possible? How do I get to 21 clients as soon as possible so that I can begin to fill up this pod? And that's where the importance of client predictability comes into play. So any person that I hire, I'm hiring with the intention of bringing on full time eventually once I get to a point. And this also is really good for expectation settings. Like for the strategist, if they're overwhelmed at 10 clients, you can say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Strategist, what systems am I lacking that are causing you to feel overwhelmed at 10 clients? What can I do to support you to make sure that your capacity is freed up? How are you using your time so that I can make sure that we can be efficient with our time so that we can handle the clients that are anticipated based off of the specific billable hours. So that is the fulfillment, and it's going to be a transition, but again, it all stems from this. Let's just say you do like one-off projects. What I like to do is I like to set aside some billable hours for like the pod. So for example, if we are doing one-off projects, we're a video agency, or we're doing like one-off campaigns for clients, make sure that's reflecting in the capacity and make sure you have the billable hours lined up so that there is capacity available. So the next thing that I want to talk about is like the sales, because sales is basically going to be the team that is going to help you actually predictably get those clients. From a sales team perspective, at $100,000 per month, typically what you're going to look for is a closer and 2 appointment setters. The closer, they're basically responsible for taking calls, like closing the deal, taking the calls. Maybe at the $100,000 per month mark, it's still you closing deals, but eventually and hopefully you are getting to a point where you have enough lead flow that you are closing deals. So from a closer perspective, typically this is like a 10% of the cash collected. Appointment setters, this can be anywhere from 5 to 7%, depending on like what the lead flow is like, and assuming that they can have a healthy living and where you're getting the appointment setters and what kind of appointments that they're actually setting. This is the ideal team of the sales. So appointment setting perspective, we want to make sure that we have the deal flow to support them. From the closer perspective, again, same thing. We want to make sure that we have deal flow that the closer is actually making a living. So this is the fulfillment. This is the sales. This is the front end of what we're going to pay. The next thing that we want to begin to think about is management. And management is overhead. This is something that we need to make sure we're being super cognitive of and aware of, because the second you start pulling from your profits to higher overhead is when your profits start to go lower, because the management team, like we can't expect you to do all the fulfillment, you to do all the sales. We need layers of leadership inside of our business, because the layers of leadership will begin to oversee the fulfillment, oversee the sales team. And if we don't have those layers, then it's going to be really challenging for you to work yourself out of the business. And then the second thing is if you don't have any money set aside to actually hire overhead, you're going to put yourself in a really dicey position. This rate, what we would want is we would probably have basically a CEO role, which would be like the sales manager, like oversee that, plus like marketing, plus vision. That would be the role of a CEO in my eyes at this type of rate. So you would manage the sales, the marketing, the vision, maybe taking some closing calls if needed. But at this point, if you have the lead flow, if you're managing the lead flow from a marketing perspective and you're making sure that you're getting enough leads, these people should be supported. Next would be some sort of like operations. So this would be overseeing fulfillment. Basically, the role of the operations manager or the head of operations would be in charge of overseeing this, because this is a lot of clients. 42 clients could be a lot of work and a lot to fulfill. And if there's no leadership for the videographers, no leadership for the client success managers, no leadership for the editors, then it can be really challenging for them, again, to stay accountable. So maybe in operations, and then maybe there's like some sort of like creative director of some sort. But for the most part, I think these two roles would be a great fit for you. Another really important role, which would be like a contractor, would be like accounting and finance. So one of the best decisions that we made at this level was hiring a really good financial team to help support us and to help hold us accountable to the numbers, forecast with us, make sure that our numbers are correct, make sure we're managing capacity really well. And then the last aspect is just going to be assistants. In this case, I would have like a general executive assistant who would support basically these two roles. This pretty much outlines what an organization of around $100,000, an agency of around $100,000 per month would look like at the level based off of the billable hours on the fulfillment, the sales team needed in order to keep up the billable hours on the fulfillment and continue to scale, hopefully, if that's the goal, if that's the type of offer that you're running, the management to oversee the sales, marketing, and fulfillment, and vision, and accounting, and all that sort of stuff, and then assistant as needed, which you can find overseas. So guys, hope you got some value from this video. Hopefully this kind of got your wheels turning on your org structure and just setting yourself up for success as you begin to grow. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please be sure to subscribe. And if you do want to work with me one-to-one to help you structure your team, to help you structure your operations, help you structure your sales team and all of that good stuff, just click the link down below to learn more about how we can work together one-to-one to make sure that you are set up for scale when you are growing your agency, if you do want to hit that $100,000 per month mark.